Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Alejandra and today I'm going to show you how to dynamically transform the column names from your data using Power Query. And if you find value in this information, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also follow me on LinkedIn so you don't miss any of the new content. And without further ado, let's start. Here I have an example. Here you can see all my column names are missing and space. Let's say I want to split this information by every single capital letter. So that is going to be very simple to do this in Power Query, but I want to do it dynamically because every single tab has information that might not be similar to the other tabs. Let's say in December, I have these cookie flavors, but these flavors might not be the same that November. Same with October. And also, I have, here are my files. I have another file that is called additional info. As you can see, I prepared this information on December 30th, so I forgot to change the date. But anyhow, so I have this file where I have September in this tab, but I also have January here. And in January, I have from column A, Control Shift right, up to column CW. I have a total of 101 columns. And let's see, Control Shift down. And I have 14,401 rows. It's 404 rows, including the title and the spaces, and the empty spaces right here. This table is dramatically different to the other tables that I'm working with. So that's why I want to show you a way to do it dynamically. I want to show you just one example with one of these tabs, and you can see that I can use that information in any of the tabs that I want to work with. So let's start here. And let me close these files. Right here. And let's save this one. So here I have a file with some solutions. So you are going to start with a blank workbook. Let's say, and we go to data, get data from file and from Excel workbook. So I'm going to bring the demo December 30th. As you can see, I prepared that information on December 30th. I forgot to change that. And I'm going to bring any of these sheets. Doesn't matter. I just need one to work with and create the process. And from here, Control Shift plus, so I can zoom in. You can see the content of that sheet. And I'm going to click a transform. I'm not ready to load that information. I need to transform it first. The Power Query Editor open. I'm using Microsoft 365. And here you can see that I have some solutions already, so I'm gonna just minimize or collapse all of this, and I just keep my query called October, Control Shift plus to zoom in, and Power Query names the queries as the name of the sheet or the table. In my case, this is the name of the sheet. Power Query also creates some steps for me. I'm gonna remove change type. I'm not ready for that, and I'm already not ready to promote headers because these are not the correct headers. Power Query promoted the first line as if it was the headers for this table. They are not. The first line only has the name of the report. The headers or the column names are in line 4. So I'm going to create another step so I can remove the lines that are above this row 4. I don't know if all the files will start with the column names in row 4. So I'm going to do it as dynamic as possible. So I'm going to remove anything that is above the word month in column 1. And to do that, I'm going to create a new step, fx. You can see that this step is referring to October sheet. That is the real name of this variable. Power Query names this step navigation. But when you look at the code, the variable is called October sheet. And we are here on home. I'm going to select Advanced Editor, Control Shift plus. Here is where Power Query is recording all the code for us and where we can modify that code. This is the source. is bringing the information from this Excel workbook. This remind me, we need to create a parameter so we can have this information in one place. If we change the location of our file, and if we have a few queries or several queries connected to that directory or that path, then or that file, then we can change that information using that parameter, and then all the queries connected to that parameter will change as well. So I just find it a very good practice. And here is where Power Query called this variable October sheet. So I can change that to oct sheet, let's say. And if I change that here, I need to change it in the next step. So the next step is called custom one, and is bringing the value from this variable, which is October sheet. That was the old name. So now I need to change it to the new name. Otherwise, I'm going to have an error because it's referring to something that doesn't exist anymore. And here inside of the expression let, we have the variables. The variables have values. And then we have in. In is bringing the result, which is the value in this case of my variable custom. We can bring as result any of the values of these variables by calling the variable here. But in our case, custom one is correct. I'm going to go and click at done. So now we know why this name has changed, or this variable has changed. The name of this step changed, let's say. It doesn't say navigation, but it says oct sheet. It doesn't say October underscore sheet anymore. So after that, I'm going to say table skip. And I want to skip. I want that Power Query removes everything in this table that is coming from that variable oct sheet. I want to remove, I can give a count or a condition. So I'm going to provide a condition that starts with a function. Each is a keyword for a function. I'm going to refer to column one. And I'm going to say that anything that is not equal to month, get rid of it. Once you find that word month, stop removing. Okay, so close parenthesis, enter, and now you can see that I have removed everything that was above of this line. Now, what I need to do is keep only this line. So I'm going to add a new step here. And that reminds me, I didn't rename my step custom one. This is going to be called skip. Let's call it just skip. I know what that means. And I have done this enough times to know what that means. And I can also rename my query. I didn't do that. I'm going to say oct demo October. Let's say demo oct. And I'm going to rename my next step because this is going to be, I'm going to keep the first line and I'm going to transpose it. So I'm going to transpose first, enter. With the new step that I created, after the equal, I want to say table first, and this one. Open parenthesis, asking me for a table that is coming from my step skip, which is the table that we're seeing here. I'm going to hide the queries right over here. So we have more room. But now we don't have the table, but anyways, we will fix that very soon. How many lines do I want to keep from the beginning of the table? And I just want to keep one, close parenthesis, enter. That's the line that I can keep. So I'm going to do here in the same step. This is equal, and I'm going to say that I want to transpose. Table transpose, open parenthesis. The table, I want to transpose the whole table, which it has only one line. I want to go to the end, close parenthesis, enter. Now, here I have all the column names. In this case, I only have 9 lines, but you saw that January has 101 columns. So for that reason, I try to do this as dynamic as possible because I don't know what the content is going to be for the other files most of the times. So I prefer to do things as dynamic as possible. Okay, so my query doesn't break, hopefully. So no, yes, I try to do that, and I can prevent the query from breaking as much as possible, right? So now that I have this information here, I need to transform this column. So I'm gonna go to create another step. Click at FX here on the formula bar. After the equal, I'm going to say table, transform columns, open parentheses, and it's asking me for a table that is coming from my previous step, transpose first, comma, transformation operation as list. So to tell Power Query that something is a list, I need to provide the curly brackets. Inside of that, I need to provide the name of the column inside of quotation marks because it's a text, column one, and comma, what is the transformation that I want to process is that's why I provide the keyword each. And I want to split this information by character transition. So I'm going to select this. And actually, I'm going to go back here on my function. So I'm going to go here. And because I'm using each and also the splitter split, then I'm going to, after the each, I'm going to press Shift Enter to go to the next line. And actually, let me just expand this so it's going to be easier to read. So after here, the each, I can provide the let expression. So I can provide variables inside of that expression, or the same thing happens if I provide the square bracket, because this is nothing but a record at the end of the day. Shift Enter right here so I can move the curly bracket down. And inside of this square bracket, which is playing the role of the let expression, then I can provide my first variable will be a equals, and that's when I'm going to provide the operation, right? So this is going to give me the before, what is the transition that I want to do when I want to go from lowercase to uppercase. So my first, my prior, let's say, will be A to Z lowercase. Go, close the curly bracket, comma, open another set of curly brackets, and now the new or the after will be the uppercase. So that goes from capital A to capital Z. Capital Z. And that's about it. So this is a function. Splitter, split are functions. So these splitters to be invoked, I need to provide the open parentheses. When I invoke this, then it's going to apply this criteria, or it's going to split the text based on lowercase and uppercase to every single line that it is in column one, which is in every single column name. And to tell Power Query to look at every single line, I'm going to provide the underscore that you can barely see here. And Control Shift minus, so you can see a little bit better this part of the function right here. This is what I'm saying by invoking the function by opening the parentheses, providing the underscore to tell Power Query to invoke this function in every single line of my column one. And now that I did that, I can go and close my square bracket, which is the equivalent to in, and now I need to bring the result. And now to bring the result in a record, or to bring the value of a field in a record, I do that through a set of square brackets. And what I want to bring is the value of A. It's the only variable that I have, but you will see why I need to have this, because I'm going to add another variable later on. Close parentheses for the table transform columns, press enter. What do I have here? Here inside of this list, let me collapse this part. You see that I have a list of values. With the first columns, I only have month and I have city. I don't have the transition. For that reason, there is no split at all. But then the next columns have that split. So you can see that these words have been split by that transition. Now I can combine this text through an space or double space. Let's say, let me expand my formula bar. And that's why I wanted to provide this with variables. After the closing parentheses with the underscore, I'm going to press Shift Enter and shift enter again. So from here, I'm going to provide shift enter. So it's a little bit easier to read. And I'm providing control closing square brackets. And from here, I'm going to say my next variable will be b equals. And what this variable will bring is the value of text combined, because I'm going to combine all those texts in those lists, in that list that you are seeing here. For example, here we have fortune cookie right here. Open parentheses, what is the text? Well, the text, I need to provide those texts as list. That is perfect because that is exactly what I have over here. I have a list of values, right? So that is coming from my variable A. That is the result of my variable A, which is this. And then from here, I'm just gonna go to the beginning, control, closing square bracket. Let me go to the end of my variable A, provide a comma, because that means that there is another variable after. My last variable won't have a comma. That means that that's it. That and after this, we have in, or we have the closing square bracket right over here. And then we are going to bring the value of our variable B. Click at the check mark here, and I didn't provide anything with the text combined. How am I going to combine this? I missed the separator. The separator will be my space. Inside of quotation marks, I can provide one or two spaces, or you can provide a pipe, or you can provide anything that you want to separate that text by. And now that I provide that, I'm going to press the check mark. And now you can see that my information has been, or my column names have been split by that transition between lowercase and uppercase. Now that I have this, I can transpose this information, and I can do that. Let me just say here, text. And I can create another step, or I can just transpose that from here. I can say after the equal table transpose, or you can go to transform and click at transpose. That's all that Power Query is going to do. And here I'm going to say transposed. That's all. And now I have the first line. Here I have my full table, right? In my step skip. That step has this first line that now I don't want. I want to replace this line with the line that I have here in my last step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want this line, and I want to put together with the table that I have from my step skip. So I'm going to say skip. And if I do that, because both are tables, if I click at the check mark, I bring the table that I have in my step skip, and I bring the table, the mini table that I created with all that process, but I don't want this line that has my table skip. I don't want this line. I want to bring everything but that line. Remember that we already used that table skip function? Well, we're going to do the same when we bring the table from my step skip. And let's say table skip, and open parentheses, go to the end, close parentheses, and press enter. For default, this function skips the first line if I don't provide the count or the condition. And that's all that I wanted to do. And now I have my table with the proper column names or headers. And now I can just promote headers. So I'm going to say table, promote headers, open parentheses, to the table that is the result of these two tables together, which is this table here. Go to the end, close parentheses, and press enter. And now I have the proper column names in our table. That is fantastic. From here, I can just select month, press and hold shift, or press and hold control to select these two columns. Right click and unpivot other columns. And by doing this, I have my data properly organized. And the only thing here, I never like that Power Query names this column attribute and the other one value. I can change it in the code. I can double click and rename it, but it's going to create another step. Or I can go to my code here and say from instead of attribute, I want to say flavor. And instead of value, I want to say amount. Press enter, And now I see have flavor and amount, right? And this step, I'm going to call it unpivoted. I know what that means, and end. So you see that this process work. So what we can do, we can create a custom function and we can invoke that function to the other sheet, or we can work with nested tables and apply these steps. Let's do that very quickly. Let's do from here. I need to copy information from here, from the advanced editor. Control C plus, and I'm gonna just adjust the code very quickly from the step skip, Control C. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna duplicate this query, and just because I want to bring the workbook, and I'm gonna say demo nested, enter. And from here, I just want the source. From here, I'm gonna right click at navigation, delete until end, and that is okay. I could have just copied. But that reminds me that I didn't create the parameter that I told you. So I'm here on home, manage parameters, new parameter. From here, I'm gonna say that this is gonna be demo directory. I want to bring this as text, suggested values, any value. And the current value here, okay, that is the name of, and the path and the name of our file, the one that we're working with right over here. And now if I refer my query to that demo directory, and here, demo directory, go to the end, press enter. Nothing happens here, but now my query is connected to that parameter. The same I'm gonna do with, I'm gonna do the same with this demo October. I'm going to remove all of this and then demo directory. Great. So, and nothing happens again, but now both queries are connected to that parameter. And now let's go to our demo nested. I'm going to hide the queries here. And I'm going to keep only the information that is in my column data. So after Excel workbook closing parentheses, I'm going to provide double set of square brackets because I want to bring a column from this table data, and that's all that I have. I have my tables here. I'm going to create another step. I'm going to say fx and equal. I will say table, and actually I'm going to do that in the advanced editor. So it's going to be easier because I copy the code from the query that we just finished. So it's going to be easier if we go to the advanced editor. Control Shift plus, and from here, this custom one step, and of course, I'm going to refer to the source. I'm going to table transform columns. I'm going to transform the only column that I have, the column data, and open parentheses, comma, and open curly brackets because I need to provide transform operations as a list. And the name of the column was data, comma, what do I want to process there? And we're going to work with nested let. We can work with the square brackets or we can work with the let. We already work with the square bracket. Let's work with the nested let. So here I'm going to say let. Need to provide my variables. Let's call this time m. And here I'm going to paste the code that I already copied from our process. So the first thing that I need to do, I need to skip the first lines right here. And I want to bring that from every single table that is inside of my column data. And same thing, everyone will have column one. I want to remove everything that is above the line that says month in that column one. And the next step, and actually, let me keep the same names variables. Then here skip, and then I need to close the curly bracket for the table transform column from here from custom one, and then I need to close the parentheses for the table transform columns. I need to delete this one here, and then later, let's see. and then in. So this in is closing this let. This in is closing this let. And then it's bringing the value of my step custom one as the result. And from there, I'm going to say, okay. Let's see. It worked. So, so happy. It worked. So here is our process. Our tables, let me show you the source. That's how our tables came, right? So all the flavors over here with the lines on the top, and now with our custom one step, all the nested table are properly presented over here. Let's say, yep, the same. Perfect. So this is December, this is November, and this is October. So go home, close and load to. And let's create connection, only create connection. Okay. Here are my three queries, my two queries and my parameter. So let me bring this information here. I'm going to open these two files, the additional info and the demo December 30th. Press enter. And from there, what I want to do is from this additional info, I'm going to select these two tabs, right click, and I'm going to move to my other file, to the demo 2023, the one that has October, November, and December. And I want to move that information to the end. I'm going to press OK. And now you see that I have October, November, December, but I also have September and January. I'm going to save this now, close, and I'm going to double click at demo nested. And just to add that information, I'm gonna in home, I'm gonna just click at refresh preview, refresh all, and now you see that I have 5 rows here on my table. Control Shift plus. I'm trying to zoom in. Control Shift plus, and now you see that I have, of course, as I had before, December, November, October. I have January, the one that has 101 columns. You can see here that now it's split column 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then we have table September. Let's go to close and load again. This is a connection already. I'm going to right click in the demo nested, load to. I'm going to create a pivot table. And I want to create that in B2. Say OK. And let me just zoom in a little bit. And oh, I didn't expand the column. So I'm going to go back to my query, demo nested, double click there. I have all the tables nested in one column. What I want is to combine all those. So Control Shift plus to zoom in. I'm going to create another step. After the equal, table combine, open parentheses. I have the tables as list. To bring this column as list, I need to provide one set of square brackets. So write the name of that column there inside of the square brackets, close parentheses, enter. Now I have that information properly combined. Select one column, Control A to select the whole table, and go to transform. And now we can detect the data type. I'm going to rename this last step as CT, change type. I'm going to call the previous step as table combine, and the previous step transformations actually. Enter. If I go to the last step, that's all my information combined. Go home and close and load. And while this is refreshing, now I can go to my pivot table option here. Just is because we have all those lines. It has so many rows now. It has 1.4 million rows loaded. So I want to go to my pivot table. I want to go to the month in the columns. And I want to go, and actually I want to go to the months, to the rows, and the flavors to the columns. This one is going to take a little bit of time because I will have up to 90 column name from 1 to 90 plus all the other flavors, right? And I have a grand total. From here, I can bring the amounts. And now I have my pivot table. Of course, not all the months will have sales for all the flavors. And January is the only month that has sales from column name 1 to column name 90, right over here, which is not a surprise. We knew that already. I can right click at any of the numbers inside of the pivot table. Right click, number format, and I'm going to just say that I want the number, thousand separator with 0 decimals. I'm going to press OK. And of course, these numbers are crazy because the amounts that I created on the working files, I just use the rand array formula in Excel to create the working file. So that's why the numbers are super crazy. In January, I had over 14,000 rows, right? And and up to 101 columns. So that makes sense. So that's all that I had for you today. I hope you found this information useful. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me in LinkedIn so you don't miss any of the new content and share with anybody that you believe can benefit from it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.